We'll just wait for DT. Look at your haircut, man. You're doing the same thing. Shaving on the side, party on the top.
Get it done before I'm drafted. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got your UW pin there too. I thought you were retired. How come you keep saying you're retired, but you're doing all this work?
It's part of the sport coat.
Oh, you did. Look at you. What are you doing? It doesn't have to be perfect. You're fine.
Good. Okay.
So, are you going to speak at Wisconsin now, or
no? Oh. I mean, I just pulled a sport coat out of the closet, so it's I don't really have like a mid-range clothing wardrobe. It's either this or like a sweatshirt. So
I'm glad you dressed up. No one dresses up for this show. I just got out of the shower. Half the time I do it when I get out of my bed. I don't even switch out of my pajamas.
So yeah, I mean, it's only buttoned down to here, and then I got jeans on and stuff. But
well, I appreciate you looking pretty. So is work busy? I mean, are you or are you not retired?
Well, I guess, I'm retired, but I'm still teaching a few courses, and thankfully they're online this semester, so it doesn't really impact me. Doing some expert witness work. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of scaling down, and we were supposed to leave for Disney on Monday.
Yeah.
So, I just got that refunded this morning. So I don't know, trying to enjoy things, but I guess we're going to have to see what that all looks like here in the next few weeks or months.
With spring coming up, I'd imagine with your cycling and everything, that's healthy. I mean, you're out in the air, and you kind of, if I recall correctly, you had an early, like once there could be still snow on the ground, but if the roads are clear, you'll go out and bike.
Yeah, and the snow is pretty much gone here, so I think we're in good shape. I've got to throw a new set of tires on the bike before I do anything this year, but yeah, I'll be out biking. It's so weird because it's like you'd be out biking, you come back, and it's like how much has changed in that 7-8 hours you've been out biking.
Like what? Did your wife all of a sudden add a new garage on the house? Or what do you mean something has changed?
Like if you biked today or you would have biked yesterday. I mean, you would have biked yesterday and you come home and it's like, oh, Disney's closed. The NCAA tournaments are done. What the fuck happened here? I was gone 8 hours.
So, it's kind of like when I go to sleep and I wake up and I so hate the news, but you have to pay attention to it. It's just because maybe 5% of it is right. There's always a spin, always an angle, and it's all drama. This is like middle school again. This is like adult middle school on the internet. And all I want is like the BBC from the World War II era to give me the key and vital facts and maybe a secret code. The hen has laid an egg, and then the French resistance go and attack and blow up a rail line. I don't want. You can't trust it. You can't trust CNN. You can't trust Fox News. There's always an angle, and everyone is having orgasms over the money that they can make and the sensationalism that I mean, now is the time for, really someone to come on the horn and say, this is what we know. And this is, but that's why I guess why we're having you on the show today.
Well, and so the president is going to address the nation at 3 today. And what's likely to happen is he'll declare the Stafford Act, which would be the highest level of emergency. I'm predicting that would happen. And then all of our phones would buzz like they did with the presidential alert. And then basically they would lay out, I guess, whatever the next steps would be.
Curfew or something like that.
There was curfew in Pennsylvania last night. Yeah, I had 3 connections over there. And some areas did curfew and shut down. And one of my FBI contacts over there got a hold of me, told me what was going on. So, yeah, I mean, everything looks fine outside, but I can't imagine, in Disney, I mean, we'll get into this on the show, but Disney can't be that disjointed. They can't be where all of a sudden they close Disneyland, 4 hours later they close Disney World and the cruise ships like that. They're too polished for that. So, when we get into this, I don't know if
we're live now. I mean, we can wait for DT. Yeah, I just start. There's no reason to like, hey, what's going on? Boobity bobbity bobbity boo. Then we repeat what we said. So it's,
I haven't been over. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we can get into that and just see what that all looks like. because I've taken some notes on some things I think that'll be really interesting, like little nuances I've picked up on because I've studied this stuff, right? That's my specialty is high stakes decision making, chaos theory, and really some strange sequence things. And one thing I would say is like I started to watch and document the TV commercials, and you're starting to see commercials that are completely out of sync with what's happening in reality. So commercials for places where events have already been closed.
Well, is it that kind of because they've already bought the advertising?
I think so. Yeah. So they're not scrubbing the advertising. So you're also getting this really weird out of sync, and news stories are starting to be out of sync also, like local news. They're showing stuff, and what they're not showing, and also like pieces that were recorded. So I was able to date a couple of the pieces on our local news, which is Madison, Wisconsin. These things have probably been recorded within the last 3 to 5 weeks. So they're filler spots in case you have a really slow news day. But of course, it's not a slow news day, right? So why are these making the news? The
puff pieces is what you're saying.
Right. Just filler filler stuff. And then the other part is we haven't had one story with any school around here about how are you going to educate kids now that they're not coming back. Like our school notified us yesterday, schools shut down. Your kids aren't coming back, and a lot of the schools around here, I mean, that everybody will be shut down. But there isn't one story. There's not one news story talking to a teacher, a school administrator, a parent. So,
because I don't have any degree in education. Okay. I don't have my doctorate in education, but just dumb old me thought maybe kids could be on the internet and the teacher could set up a YouTube channel and then you could educate your kids now. It's just me.
Yeah. And obviously that can be done, and it will be done with Google Classrooms and things, but no one is prepared for this. And I mean, I've taught over 100 college classes, both face-to-face, online, and blended in the last 20 years. So even at the post-secondary level, they're telling instructors, move your 5 classes online, and some of it could be like lab-based classes. And it's too much. Like it's too much to build these classes in Blackboard and replicate that once you're midstream. I mean, if you have it from the start and you're designing it, but like to try to take it right now. So I'm expecting, like with my kids, I'll educate them. I will set up.
But you don't have a license. Oh wait, you are actually a teacher. Never mind. You are a professor.
Yeah, a superintendent license. So
never mind. I'm sorry.
Jobs, yeah. So, but I think it is so strange that the 6 o'clock news, which jumps over everything, right? If there's a school shooting, for example, 1,000 miles away in Philadelphia, they're interviewing the superintendents locally of what would you do if that happened here and things like that. Yet, all of this stuff, unprecedented. Wisconsin made the NCAA basketball tournament, and they, shut that down after they're on the floor warming up. No interviews with, fans. But the stuff that's missing, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. And it doesn't follow the narrative after 9/11, how they would interview people at ground zero and responders and how media coverage was. The media coverage is really strange on this. And as you said, people who are talking about it are people who have no
they're not on the ground. Right. So, I mean, but why? I mean, you got any theories? I'm still trying to figure out what should it look like? We're interviewing the EMS guy or the FEMA guys, or what should it look like?
Absolutely. Yeah. Your state, your state Department of Health, that person, or FEMA, a couple epidemiologists from the universities. I mean, we have Marquette University here. I mean, Wisconsin, but everybody has access to these people for other things. I mean, gas prices go up, they go down. They'll interview economists. I'll bring them on. I'm not seeing that on public radio. I'm not seeing it on TV. So it seems more and more, I think this narrative is being strongly dictated. I have no idea where it's coming from, but again, going back to Disney, and I am vesting in this, right? Because we're supposed to take that Disney trip on Monday, fly out from Milwaukee to Orlando. For Disney to cancel Disneyland and then 4 hours later cancel Disney World and the cruise ships, to be that disjointed for a major company, with this, that they wouldn't be sitting down and getting information and saying, okay, we're going to make one press release. We're shutting everything down. It wasn't that way. Even the website kind of locked up on them. And so I look at that. I look at the NBA players already, games at halftime. They put up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that was abrupt.
Said leave. And then also the NCAA, the players are out warming up and they're pulling them back in the locker room and said the tournament's done. So this whole communication thing is just unprecedented. We've had much better communication with natural disasters, with hurricanes, also 9/11. Communication was very good with 9/11. Mm-hmm. Giuliani was on every hour telling what was going on, in which subways were open, which weren't, where they were staging assets if you need it, water, things like that. I mean, all that was really clear, and just nothing happening here. So I'm looking.
So are you saying this snuck up on the authorities and they underestimated it and they're doing a botched response, or is it just weird and this isn't you got the heebie-jeebies? Something's off.
Well, I do. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not the only one. So I have a pretty connected network. And this is exactly what they're saying. And when I did my podcast a couple days ago, my live one, when I was comparing it to 9/11, which I studied in depth, worked with the Department of Planning in New York. And I'm going through all of this and saying, this is so different than 9/11, how this response is going on. And what people forget is, like, on 9/11, when the towers fell, people in New York still thought this was an actual live event, that there was more coming. There were going to be more planes. There's going to be nukes. Mines in the harbor. So they didn't think this was done. So it's kind of like right now, they think it's ongoing, and they were being communicated every hour. Here's what we know. Here's what we know. Here's what we shared earlier. Here's what's open. Here's what's closed. Nothing happening now. And again,
that's all right. I get my information from salon.com. Yeah. They keep me updated.
And again, the media is now starting to get very out of sync. Yeah, they're running ads that they were paid to run at night. How is it that last night we didn't have a national presentation from the head of the CDC or the head of FEMA, or even like a Bloomberg paid for 8 minutes for his campaign thing a couple of weeks ago? That Bill Gates or someone comes out and buys time and brings on a Harvard epidemiologist or someone to just give some info. I mean, it's not making sense to me. I'm seeing a lot of weird broadcasting that's happening too. A lot of older shows being brought in. So I just think these decisions are being made really fast. I mean, super, super fast. And there's no time then to say, how are we going to communicate this out? What's our game plan for doing that? The schools around here, it's the same thing. They get up and it's, they make a decision, or there's been some decisions made, and then it's a communication, and parents are already dropping kids off at school, and it's like, it's closed. And
there were parents dropping their kids off to schools that were closed, and they didn't announce it?
No, the schools would literally close at 7 or 7:30 in the morning. They had made that announcement, and nothing beforehand, nothing saying we're going to be closing. I knew that our school was going to be closing. I had some information ahead of time, so I told my daughters, bring home your stuff, and then the next day the school made the announcement. But I can't make sense of this. It baffles me. I've talked to people that I've worked who work all over the world on this. I can't make sense. It doesn't follow 9/11. It doesn't follow, discussions that came out after the Notre Dame fire, which was kind of a cover up on the lead stuff, which was easy to pick up on. So so one of the reasons you shut down the schools is because the schools become FEMA sites. I mean, that's just in every county plan. So, what's really going on here? I mean, what is the plan? Are you trying to make the space available? Because is that why this is happening? I mean,
I was like,
hey, I got a story. I got a story real quick.
What's up, DT?
Hey, DT, welcome.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
I'm enjoying the decline. Hey, how are you guys doing?
I've never seen you so happy, DT,
You're happy
than the past week.
Happy.
I've never,
See, my the avatar of me. That is me, everyone.
Is you.
That's not Kurt Russell. That's me. But it's like
I always mistook you for Kurt Russell.
It's like the Mona Lisa painting. You can't quite tell if I'm smiling or not, and I'm smiling today, so I'm not grumpy. It's a smiley face today. But just before I came on the podcast here, Mrs. DT knocked on the old Hunker Bunker door and says, "Hey, DT, schools, Christine Noem just announced schools in South Dakota are closed."
Oh.
They're starting Monday. They're closed. And last night we got a message saying that an event this weekend was canceled. And I was like, well, talking about how just kind of springboarding off of you, Doc. Yeah. Hey, Doc, was I was wondering, well, what if people didn't see this email? And then all of a sudden they're dropping off their kids at the place that they're supposed to drop them off tomorrow morning. You know, I mean, at least there was a kind of a 12-hour notice for this event canceling, but this event, all the parents had to bring their kids to this place. And I'm just wondering, well, parents could have easily missed that message. So to me, this is complete hysteria and people running around with their heads cut off. And that's what explains it for me. Just this kind of disjointed response. Nobody really knows what the hell is going on. It's still early in it. So I would like to see more interviews of people who have recovered from the virus.
Right.
That's what I would like to see. And I've seen a few like, oh, this is actually more mild than the flu I had last year. So I would like to see that, but here's a little interesting story. I know somebody who just had traveled to California and drove all the way back. I don't know if he flew out there, but it was kind of early on. So he was out there when it was starting to spread, and he came all the way back, and he had a cold. And I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I was up all night last night hacking up stuff from my lungs, so I'm going to go to the doctor today." And I call him afterwards, see how he's doing. The doctor didn't test him, didn't say you might have it, just said, "Oh, this is just a cold," sent him home. And I'm like, you might just have a mild case. You could be spreading it to other people. Right. Are you going to, I mean, this is just total clusterfuck, but to me, I'm not too worried about it because I'm not older than 60. So
what do you make though of, the NBA canceling, the NCAA. So, we have billions and billions of dollars shut down. And what I've heard is it's unlikely Major League Baseball.
Right.
Not only that it's delayed, but I've heard inside information that it's done because they can't.
They just postponed the Masters too.
So, I'm looking at this as saying these are billions and billions and billions of dollars in industry. I can see a government maybe panic and ramp up a little bit of shutting down some schools, but like I can't make sense of this other than attorneys coming in and saying, listen, if 10 people show up at your arena and they are diagnosed with COVID and then they spread it, there could be a civil suit. It could go back to you. It could be maybe that's at play. That would make, because I'm looking at this and I'm still not rationalizing, so then the NBA is going to play without fans. They do that for like one game and that's done. The NCAA, the players
canceled
show up and they shut it. And here in Wisconsin, they did the state girls basketball tournament yesterday. And after they got done with half the games, they canceled it and sent the rest of the players home.
Doc, let me, I know.
Hey, you want to know my answer though? You want to know what I think it is?
Sure.
Boomers are going to boom. The reason why there's a difference between the swine flu 12 years ago or 11 years ago is that boomers were 12 years younger and healthier. And now they're in the risk group and they're shutting everything down because they're worried about their own lives. The easiest answer to this, if everything what they're saying is true, in my opinion, the easiest answer is to say, look, anybody over 60, stay home, but the rest of the economy is going to keep on going. If you have to sell your fucking Masters tickets for pennies on the dollar, then fine. But the Masters is outside. It's outside in the sun. The sun is the best disinfectant, and they're shutting down the fucking Masters. This is nuts.
You know what? We should all go golf and create our own Masters. The Wisconsin Masters. We'll put it up on YouTube. It'll be some golf people can watch. Bet you we could get some cheap golf rates now.
We could.
And we'd have
Penguins jersey. Yeah.
Right. Get someone over at Wisconsin Public Radio, Doc, and have them talk in the nice quiet. Oh,
it's quiet.
DT is going
coronavirus golf. We're drinking Corona beers, and
Clary leads.
We lick the ball every time we tee off.
Aaron Clary leads the board, 43 over par. We're 3 holes in. I mean, it would be great. It'd be crappy golf. But Doc, let me ask you a serious question here. What scares me a little bit is that you can't identify this. Is there a normal pattern? Is there normal trends beforehand in some kind of emergency or safety nationwide? And this is just not lining up to that? Or is these things just standing out on their own? So that you've gone through various crises or problems before, and there's some patterns and consistency among those.
Right.
This is different, and that's what's got your hair up on the back of your neck.
It does. And not only have I lived through those as we have, 9/11.
We old.
Yeah, we all are old. So we're one tier below the the boomer tier. But yeah, so I mean the life experience, but then also the academic experience. I mean, I studied this, I've written about this, and of tuning into just the key elements. And I can't in my mind write how the fact that all of these communications are jumbled. Like, again, the NBA, the players and fans are already in the arena. They play half and then they shut it down. The NCAA, the schools around here, kids already showing up to school in the morning, being dropped off. And then the principal's at the door saying, "Oh, we just closed 5 minutes ago." I can't, and even the Disney thing yesterday, like Disney had time to see this. Like it's not, they would have seen all of this unfolding just as we would, that they wouldn't have a closed door meeting and say, okay, we're going to have a press release at 2:00 today, and we're going to shut down all parks. And here it is. And it wasn't that way at all. And the website got real wonky. It got shut down. You couldn't call in. I talked to one of the agents down there. Everything got chaotic. People in the park didn't know what was going on. It was chaotic in Disney World last night. So it usually people get their stories together, right? This is one of the things when we had the missile alert in Hawaii. After
I remember that. Those are good times.
Good times. Then, they come up with a story afterwards of saying it was some guy and he shouldn't have done this. And then you couldn't even find the guy, like he didn't exist. But at least it was a story. It was a cover story and people moved on. And here there's no attempt to give a cover story. And that is also weird. Even if it's just buying time from the government for something, there's no effort to put on
kind of running interference a little bit. Yeah.
And in the local news, running pieces that have nothing to do with coronavirus, and commercials for places that have already been shut down. So things
Disney World.
So yeah, it's not being scrubbed. And actually, I mean, I'm watching the news, like Madison, I'm watching the anchors and stuff, and I'm picking up like a tension and just a weird way that they're covering things. I think I shared it before, DT, but they haven't done one story with one district around here about how are you going to educate kids now that basically school's done. They haven't done a story with a teacher, a professor, nobody.
Right.
And of course, that'd be your lead story, right? That would instantly be your lead story. And no.
So as you're talking, I'm just thinking, there is the whole idea of, the stampede, right? That one person cancels, maybe we should. But hasn't the canceling of all these events been enabled by the government saying, we're going to bail all of you out? So maybe it's safer for all of these businesses, all these events, Disney, to basically, instead of trying to prove, well, our numbers went down this much because of coronavirus, they can just say, well, we closed the park because of coronavirus and we want this much of a bailout. Couldn't it be that simple too?
It could be.
I look at everything as driven by making money, and so you always kind of go follow the money, right? What the people's decisions are basically selfish and based on money, and that's sort of how I've been approaching this. But the whole thing with the boomers, basically, they're the ones at risk. They depend on a functioning society for all their entitlements, and yet they're going to shut everything down to survive. It's just this weird catch-22 that they're in that I find hilarious, but but that's the one thing I can't figure out is, don't you understand that you're shutting down the economy, your retirement depends on it. So even if you live through this, you're kind of fucked.
I'm not too worried about the economic ramifications. I'm here because Doc has got some more insight. He's further down the canary mine or the coal mine than we are. So we could do boomer talk and the Federal Reserve bailing stuff out. I'm just trying to grasp, like, did I just waste my time buying extra food? Because as far as I'm concerned, there better be some motherfucking bodies out there on the streets by the time this is all dead, because of the amount of sensation. But is it sensation? Because right now you're making, not you, Doc, but right, the media and it's like, okay, this could happen. I'm not discounting it. I'm not saying the sky is falling, but by God, heads are going to roll if there isn't, a corpse or two out there, given the amount that's happened. And what you're saying, given that you've seen this before in other instances, it's not consistent. I mean, now we're left to speculate. How much do you think is just bad communication among the government and authorities?
Or just stupid people.
I thought that for a while, and of course, I was planning to leave for Disney on Monday, so I wasn't canceling my plans because I thought, it's social proof, right? Like once one district cancels, the rest cancel. Or once one state does something. And I was thinking along that line. But even the way that schools have canceled doesn't follow social proof, because in my area, all of the schools, and I would make this decision. If you're going to have a snow day, for example, you would all call each other, all the superintendents, and you'd say, we're all going to shut down, or none of us are going to shut down, because everyone calls and they're angry. But that's not how this has happened. It's been like one district, and then the next day another district, and then two, and then all of a sudden one at noon shuts down. And so there's
not even a coordination on the state level.
And that's where the soups would already be on this, right? The soups would be on this, the superintendents. That's the way that they work, because they don't want to take the heat. It's or the counties. The counties would get together, and because county health department would say, we're all going to do this together. We're going to shut something down because of E. coli or something like that. And they're not doing that. So part of me is wondering, are the counties, usually the counties would be the first. They would shut things down locally, like they would have shut down Dane County toward Madison and stuff like that, but they didn't. And if instead of the counties, then you go up to the Fed or the states would shut down. Some of the states started to do that, or you'd wait for the Fed. Now it's easier. It's kind of like me. When I was waiting for Disney shut down. I got a full refund because I didn't cancel. They shut down and I got all my money back. So I'm kind of wondering, are the states just saying, wait for the Fed to make a decision, then we don't have to do it. We're not the ones, and local level, we're not the ones. And as DT, as you said, there's no testing sites. I haven't got, I didn't even get an email or text from my doctor saying, hey, any symptoms or signs, here's what we're doing, or that they're staging, some kind of area, even to take your temperature, monitor something, or you can go online and be given a code and update your temperature. The fact that none of that is happening.
Well, this guy wasn't even told you might have it. It's right. Still, he wasn't tested. He's got the primary symptom, which is hacking up half your lung. That's not a normal cold. And he was sent home. Oh, no problem. You're not having trouble breathing. You don't have a fever, so you don't have it. They don't know. And so that's the one person that I've talked to. How many people are being told that? Oh, I've got a cold. Yeah, you do. See ya.
Right. That's the thing. So I look at this and I'm trying to just think, what's the incubation period for this? What's really happening overseas? We don't see much for video.
Right.
And I haven't been to that level, but I'll tell you a story. When I was a school administrator, 2008, we had a flood, a 500-year flood, cut our district in half where I worked. And between 4 and 8 hours, FEMA came in National Guard trucks, Humvees and big trucks and potable water, and took over high school and an elementary school on both sides of the river, because again, everything was, and set up perimeters with armed guards. And I was given a ID badge, and I had 30 minutes in either building, and that was it. And everything was shut down, not our jurisdiction anymore. And it was the most awkward, unsettling feeling I've ever had in my life. None of us knew that was going to happen. Apparently, it was buried in some county plan that when there's a disaster declaration, FEMA can come in. but they met with our buildings and grounds, which rooms have air conditioning, which don't, where can we store food. They set up a perimeter around the parking lot. And for those 10 days, and I have some photos from it, just of like the potable water and the tankers to actually prove that it happened. Otherwise you couldn't take photos or anything like that. It was unsettling, and that is much more comforting than today, because that was a natural disaster that you could see it. It was tangible. You could see that. But I remember I didn't think that was possible. I did not think they could come in with this massive presence out of nowhere and say, this is our site. And people then were staying there, and they were giving, checks to people so they could do, get on with their lives and stuff like that. But it wasn't like someone's there to greet you. It is someone holding a rifle, at the entrance and in the whole perimeter. And, why are you there? You have your ID. And after I was in the building once, I didn't have any reason to get back. I had no access to internet, anything like that. It was one of the most bizarre experiences of my life. I'll say FEMA was good to work with. I'll also say I don't remember much of what happened. There was no debriefing. They were in. 10 days later, they were out. So the part that I'm starting to be more concerned about is schools are FEMA sites. And the fact that the universities kicked out their students out of their dorms and they're going online. Are we opening is this first step of liberating all of these potential FEMA sites? And I don't want to sound conspiracy, because that's not me, but I'm like I said, I was going to do Disney. I didn't cancel because I thought it was going to happen. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, this
it's a step closer.
If you start to see a movement of vehicles, if you start to see some things,
convoy of military trucks heading down the highway, or helicopters
setting up at some schools, something like that would mean to me that there's going to be, testing, or there's going to be okay. So we have, I believe it's 3:00 today. President Trump is going to address the nation. If he invokes the Stafford Act, all of our phones are going to buzz with that presidential alert like they did. And we're going to see shipments that should be going to Walmart or Costco going to a centralized site for distribution. And, martial law was declared in some counties last night in Pennsylvania.
Really?
It was.
Wait, so the state or the federal got to figure that out?
The governor declared 12:01 a.m. I talked to people in those settings. So imagine this. Imagine, tonight at 9:00, your air raid siren sounds for 2 minutes and everybody has to come in. That's going to happen for some people. So I'm sitting here of like, this just is escalating. I mean, this is like Kennedy near the button, but I'm like, what is driving this? What is driving the fact that we have to now amp up to martial law decrees in some
May I ask something that's feasible? I mean, I know you don't have the answers to everything, Doc, but you're the foremost authority, frankly, that we have in the entire.
But
and you're a lousy golfer too, so you got my trust. You can trust a bad golfer.
Everyone would want to watch that.
Right?
Am I a lousy golfer?
No, DT, you're actually real good. You can't golf with us.
Okay.
You got to golf at a handicapper. You make the announcements.
Okay.
How much of, because of the nature of this 9/11? It took a day, a shooting, it's over in 15 minutes. Whereas this is a virus and you don't see it and it grows and you're still waiting on data to come in. So it's a moving target. How much of this do you think it's possible that they're like, if we lock down stuff now, for even though it may seem extreme measures and people may be afraid of martial law and curfew and all that, if they crack down on it now, is it saving us 2 to 3 months of hospital visits? In other words, trying to keep people out of the hospital, trying to keep the spread slower so that the hospitals or FEMA site can take care of the volume. In other words, they're trying to amortize. They're trying to end it early and stop the spread, but they're also trying to amortize it instead of like it just goes viral, like none of my videos ever do. But and then there's a collapse, but you flooded the health system. Is that a possibility?
Oh, sure. Okay. Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's been, pretty openly stated, in the past too, for H1N1 and SARS and things like that. But yeah, that, what was it? I don't know. The governor of Ohio this morning said, they believe maybe 1% of their population is infected, which would be 117,000 people.
And it's Ohio, so
So, but yeah, obviously this would be buying time, and by limiting the information that you're getting out there, I guess you're trying to limit panic in a rush where people are trying to go in, just like what's happening right now at Costco and Walmart. I mean, here the shelves are clear.
I packed my bug out bag 5 years ago, so I don't know what you people are talking about. I'm sorry, Doc, continue.
Well, no, I think that's the case, is to buy time. And, it's, again, going back to closing schools. So this whole thought of you're just going to move online, while it's technically possible, but to do it right now midstream, I've done this. I teach online, I build online. It's just not going to happen, right? It's just not feasible. And here's the announcements that are coming out too. People will say we're suspending classes. The only way you say that, or we're suspending the NBA, is then you say that, and 1 week later you say we're canceling. It's just to limit the shock effect. So I'm picking up some of these words and saying, yeah, suspend. You're just canceling. Suspend
it's like
your
campaigns. I'm suspending my campaign.
Absolutely. We're saying we're going to resume school on March 30th. Nope, you're not. It's done. You're not coming back. Nobody's.
So what? These kids are going to graduate when they're 19, arguably.
No, there'll be an exemption. There'll be an exemption made, either at a federal or state level, because there's two different things that are covered: students with disabilities under federal Individuals with Disability Act, state regs. All of that will be waived. There'll be no doubt all of that will be waived, and this will be considered a force majeure event, something unforeseen like a solar flare, and they'll deal with it. And I think that's been done. I believe that all of that has been done and just not released.
Okay. It's like the blip in the Avengers, right? Wasn't it the blip people that they suddenly came back, and they're 3 years younger than everybody else, and and they still graduated and all that.
Yeah. Oh my God. So
I'm drinking whiskey, by the way. So that's
I kind of figured you're a little lucid today. Yes.
Lucid.
You're just celebrating.
You mean loose, right? Not lucid.
Well,
I'm lucid too, but I'm loose.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So DT, let me ask this. So you just got you said your wife just got notified that the schools are shutting down, but I mean, so you got notified, but what else do you have? What else have they given you? Have they said, here's the platform, here's a login, here's what we have? And I'm guessing it's nothing, right? You've got nothing.
Well, the interesting thing I was thinking while you're talking, it's like, okay, they cancel the schools. Oh, maybe we'll do it online. Canceling schools forces, if you've got a married family raising the kids, forces one of the parents to stay home. So they're working from home now to take care of the kids, right?
Right.
And is our internet going to be able to handle all this stuff? Wouldn't this be a perfect time for something really bad? I mean, if you really want to go down the conspiratorial route, oh yeah, all the kids are going to be online, and then half the parents are going to be online, and then we've got older brother that's online too, and it
our massive bandwidth we could be doing with our millions of followers, some beauty pie. Yep.
So you're right on with that. And get this: if the Stafford Act is invoked, the government then controls the internet and prioritizes .gov and .edu addresses. These are all things that literally are 2 hours away. So, when I did
what do you mean by that? Wait, I saw Cappy react to that. And what do you mean by 2 hours away?
President Trump is addressing the nation.
Oh, okay. Yes, right. Okay.
3 p.m. And my anticipation of that would be he's going to invoke the Stafford Act, STAFFORD. And people can look up the conditions of that, but basically it is equivalent to a martial law. I mean, it'll have provisions in it, but government takes over media and things like that. And I just think that's what's happening. I mean, but so what is really happening out there? And, like DT, you've just said, school's been canceled, but so they've known this for a while. They've known 3 or 4 days. You also think you'd get some type of information saying we're going to be going online. We're going to have 3 days from now, we're going to communicate with you a little video we're going to put up about how to access stuff. None of that's done.
Every student must read War and Peace. So I'll keep them busy.
So all of, again, we look at things which are just typical in standard emergency management practice and standard school communications and standard, hospitals and all of that. And it's not there. It's missing. So I can't account for the piece that's missing. It just doesn't make sense to me.
So what you're worried about is that they're making the decision to cancel, We have no idea what to do in the interim, and we have no idea how long and when things will, at what metric will things reopen, and all that. It's just kind of this black hole right now. We're just shutting down the country. Trust us, we've got it all under control.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, people are using the word suspend, and we don't have, would it cause chaos if you really let people know what's going on? And I'm not saying I know what's going on, but if you said realistically, here's a timeline, we anticipate we're going to have to set up these sites and this, I mean, people would go nuts. They just can't handle it. So,
we saw the
this is the coconut oil before shoving it up there, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I seriously, because I think it's brilliant. I know it's Orwellian, but you're right. Why spread the information and then have
there's no need to?
Yeah, there's no need to, and you almost have to. And I'm sure there have been studies, and Doc, you've probably studied where it's the behavior of groups of people or populations as a whole, where they take on their own sentience or intelligence, and riots, how do they occur and stuff like that. And if you've studied it long enough,
right,
why gin them up, I guess is the logic.
Guys, just look back to when Orson Welles did War of the Worlds. And what was it? Stanford University went out afterwards, a couple of their psych profs and stuff, and they interviewed people, including police officers, and they said, what did you see? And they described in detail, these walking alien craft all across the surface, and they were convinced that they saw it. And it's just a broadcast, right? But there were hundreds of people who were in positions, of authority, right? So these aren't just nervous soccer moms at home. These are people that should have a very thorough process for rationalizing their information, and they stuck to their stories, and they said, no, we saw this, it was here, and here's exactly, and they would describe it. So we know people would have that tendency if this information came out to go, and of course, people are going to flood the internet and say, this is what's happening. And people are going to take that, and it could just be this rapid deterioration of, we've already seen the run on stores, which is what's happened so far. So I think I get a lot of communications these days, but
so good thing you're retired. I'm glad you're just chilling and relaxing here.
God.
Hey, DT, remember when Doc worked all the time and was writing books and was consulting and doing seminars? Good thing he doesn't do any of that now.
I couldn't imagine being a school administrator right now. I could not imagine how you're trying to game plan these decisions. What do you do with support staff? Do you lay off your kitchen staff for the rest of the year? Jesus.
If you got to go, man, there's 76 people tuning in here. I'm sure that people in America need you more.
Got to be shut down.
76 people who should be voting up this and subscribing.
Should be voting. Voting
up.
This up, and also following my channel on YouTube and Twitter. Yeah, they can find it on YouTube and follow me on Twitter. That's been stagnant. So at Safety PhD.
Help us out here. What is the Stafford Act in general? I know you kind of gave bits and pieces, but it grants powers to the federal government?
It does. I don't think it's ever actually fully been enacted. It was revised in the 80s. It didn't go into effect after 9/11, if I believe.
Well, they shut down flights or whatever. That was the only nationwide thing that happened at 9/11, right? It was just shutting down flights. And they shut down the stock market for a week.
Yeah, and they went to DEFCON 3 at Offutt Air Force Base and readied some bombers. But yeah.
Bomb the virus. Bomb it.
That was something too.
Oblivion.
Right?
Hey. Well, before you go on, Doc, we don't have to worry. The Federal Reserve is going to provide liquidity, and that's going to take care of fucking Christ.
Interest rates, yeah.
I'll stay quiet. I'll stay quiet.
I'll make this point, but then I want Doc to continue. If any of you think economics is a legitimate science or study or field, all you have to do is look at the fucking top economists of our country over at the central bank saying, we'll print off more money, that'll solve it. And then that's all you need to know about economics is complete bullshit. So continue on, Doc. What were you saying?
My good man.
Yeah. Well, I don't know all of the details of the Stafford Act, again, because it's very interpretive. It's right. It's what the president the president now has carte blanche authority to kind of do what he deems in his administration needs to be done to bring this disaster under control.
Okay.
So again, we're opening up the kind of the genie right now of something that we've never really gone into. So, but parts of that include the government taking over internet, all airfare, all goods going to stores like Costco, Walmart could be centralized to a FEMA center, and then they could be redistributed out of there. It could be like this thing where you have to show up with your driver's license and you get so much for goods. It could be the way that healthcare is done. Nobody really knows. So that's the part too of it's this thing of like, we have a presser coming up and nothing leading up to it of saying, yeah, here's the agenda for today's press conference. It's just going to be another
drop the bomb
fallout that we're going to get. And that's
could you imagine if Hillary was president, how we'd be freaking out? Like you're talking right now.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining if Hillary was president, we'd all be gearing up. We'd be locking and loading. We'd have our gas masks on, our body armor. We'd sit in our little bunker made out of rice bags of rice, and we'd be ready for the people to come door to door, taking the guns away. But since it's Trump, it's like, oh well, he's gonna declare a national emergency. He's gonna kind of do a martial law thing, and oh well.
And I think, also DT, what comes out of this is then the banks, you have limited access to the banks. So maybe you can withdraw so much that your 401k, 403bs would be froze. You'd have no trading going on.
Hey, should I go tell Mrs. DT to go get some cash out of the bank right now?
Probably. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a quick break and tell her to go get cash out.
Do that.
I don't want to.
I'll be right back.
I would say that's a good advice. And the thing is, you guys know, I'm not this way. And
no, you're not. You're very reserved and relaxed usually. Yes.
Very thoughtful. I go through things. And then after the people that I work with, who are at levels that are higher than I am and finding out their anxiety on this. And then, I've started to share out, closely with some of my family, and getting things together. And I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. And usually we do. I mean, we can figure some things out. But I mean, we could be looking at an announcement of 20 days of suspended air travel, something like that. I mean, all of this in the next 2 hours is on the table. And I think the biggest shoes will drop right now. I think today's the day.
This would be, hey, I know this sounds dark, but I haven't had this much excitement in my life in a long ass time. Like, I guess I'll hike another mountain. I guess I'll go off another course. This is something like, what happened in the past 8 hours that I was asleep? What happened now? And you almost like, hey, I get to clean up the gun. I get to make sure it fires. I mean, it's.
I won't leave the house at this point. I mean, I won't leave the house, and just because I need to be close to information. And I think if we drove again, I mean, I'm telling you honestly how I feel because of how this is unfolding. I wouldn't drive 100 miles away because I'm not sure I can get back under some.
Really?
If I'm just saying, I've never felt that way in my entire life. And again, piecing these things together, it gets really, really weird. The sequence is all messed up. Harvard in the short turnaround, Nick Schulander talked about it too, of when they shut down dorms and then kids are out and there's no support. It's just like you're gone.
And it's still cold out where Nick lives, right?
It is. Yeah. And you have all your counselors and support staff, and that's why universities are now have these huge, we're going to support students and everything. And the moment
they got safe spaces, they're all okay now. Yeah.
The moment this declaration happened, nothing. Students were on their own. Everybody's on their own. Faculty are on their own. So I mean, and I'm in communication with faculty, and they're like, we're supposed to put all this online, 5 classes in 2 weeks, and then what does this look like? And students who might be in different time zones,
see, but here's why I disagree. I don't really disagree with you, Doc. I mean, it's not that, but why I don't care. Really, we can't figure out how to put a thing on the internet. I know it may not conform to federal or state standards, but I'm not worried so much about, teachers can't get their lesson plan on the internet. I'm not worried about that. What I am worried about is you're kind of like, I'm like the little kid and you're like my dad, and nothing scares my dad. Well, not only are you scared, and I'm like, oh shit, dad's scared. What is coming down it? But your quote dad, your contacts who are higher up, which you may not be able to mention, they're scared. So it's like my grandfather is scared, and this is like, oh shit. So I don't care about, okay, lady, you can't get your fucking lesson plan up on YouTube. Really? You can't say, hey, I started a channel here. We're going to have a set at this time. Screw that. I don't care about that. I'm more worried like, yeah, gas was really cheap. Well, guess what? Now it's really expensive because we've cut off the gas. Everyone's celebrating because of that dollar or something or other like that. That's where I'm more concerned. And what you're saying is not only are you a little scared, you don't even know what it is, which makes it even worse.
So that just to emphasize that, I was thinking, what's your 1 to 10 scale of concern, and your 1 to 10 scale of this is just batshit insane? Those two scales. I mean, where are you coming down there?
Okay, so 48 hours ago, I would have said, batshit insane, 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
and today I'd say maybe 3 out of 10.
Okay.
Because again, with the NCAA, with Disney, with just these massive things, and then also this awkward pace of how the universities are closing, but not in sequence. We've also haven't seen any mobilization of kind of like this Cajun Navy relief, Texas Navy, because you can involve some of these folks in the mix to support things. As you said, Aaron, can you teach online? Can you move all that stuff? You can. It's just really weird to do it once class has started. And what does it look like for second grade? And how are you giving?
I know. That's not the big concern for me, or I think anybody.
But
I know
think
teachers.
It's a drastic step to have to do that, right? Like to say we're doing that, which districts are saying we're doing that,
right?
And I'm like, that's not saying you're going to be gone 2 weeks, because if you're gone 2 weeks, shit, Wisconsin, we have snowstorms that shut places down for 2 weeks.
Right.
That's not a thing. So there's a bigger narrative here, right? There's a much bigger narrative. And the narrative goes on, does this go into fall? Do we get a point where the fall semesters are closed? Do we get a point where, employers you're right. Do you have so much gas that you can get in a week? And these types of things. I don't know. And that's the thing. But if you look at what's happening, it leads a very strong narrative in that direction. And it's one that I kept ignoring because I'm like, no, but I'm like, man, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this. And again, this herd of having people coordinate together and kind of come out with a joint decision isn't happening. Superintendents, county department of health, even states coming together, these 3 states making a statement, because that's not happening. That has me concerned. This doesn't follow typical emergency management that is 101, that even a basic first-year superintendent would have. So I think they're extremely scared. And again, just like DT, the information you got, the information I got, they're using very specific words, suspend, which is language we never see coming out from schools, from the NBA or things like that.
Well, this is unprecedented though, too. I mean, I think they just said the Masters only delayed, or the Masters was only canceled because of World War II.
Right.
So it's like,
and the NCAA had played through World War II. It was sometime in the 30s they canceled for some reason. But so again, if we go outside, everything seems to look okay. That's the part of this. It's not like, it's what Memphis or Nashville where they had the tornado and you walk out your door and half the neighborhood's gone. It's like, okay, now, I rationalize this. I can't rationalize this. And we're not seeing so many people in hospitals or in sites. And what do they do when they take these people off of cruise ships, right? They're going and splitting them at 4 military bases and you never hear from them again. They take their phones. You have no communications out of that. And I'm thinking even from a cover story part, like I did a podcast once with Jim Mallard and some paranormal stuff. And I just said, cover stories, there isn't even a cover story that makes sense with this. Like in 1977, they built the City Corps building, and then they realized after they built it, DT, you know this one, it could have fallen in a 55-mile-an-hour wind. So they came up with a cover story that they're going to retrofit it to make it strong for a 500-year storm. And that was just that wasn't true. They kept working on it because they had to fix this because it could fall down. So there's no cover story here. There's no cover story at all that makes sense. And
unless you think, I mean, I love to think while you're talking because you're making me think. So, what if what if this is the Great Reset? I mean, what better way to just kind of reset everything than everybody goes home. Yeah, we're going to bail out everybody, but actually we're not. We're just going to reset everything. I mean, this would be, so then the coronavirus itself is the cover story, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and there's lizard people under Denver International Airport, DT.
I mean, this is weird. I mean, it's almost like if we had contact from another, like aliens. Okay.
Right.
I mean, I think people would handle that much better than they're handling this. I mean, this is so, disjointed. And again, the big players, we have to look at this. Disney does not make these mistakes. Disney would not make this type of mistake in this announcement that happened yesterday. And that to me was a tipping point. And again, I started my contacts which are multiple nations. Some of my rocks, some of my people are like, don't worry about it. Go to Disney, do this and that. They changed their tune. People who have never changed their tune since I've known them for 15 years.
Your dad's worried.
My dad's.
Yeah.
And when my dad said that, then I'm like, okay, like, yeah, as kind of you said, maybe we are up for this reboot. Maybe this whole recalibrating of the economy of X, Y, and Z that gets put out. And I think last night too, when 12:01 a.m. when parts of Pennsylvania went to martial law, it's the social contract, right? With 9/11, we had more things put in place by the government for social contract theory. And is this another big step on social contracts? So, this is one of the things. I mean, what if you show up at a site, your firearm is registered and they scan your ID and they said, if you want access to the assets we have here, you have to turn in your gun. Then what?
Right. Or yeah, it could be anything. Yeah.
So,
so what you're saying is that you're confused. It doesn't make sense. And so that means it could be anything. That it could mean that the coronavirus is more deadly than they're telling us. It could mean something else is going on here. It's just or it could be as simple as the herd just stampeding and everybody running around with their heads cut off. But you don't think that's possible. That the communication would be disjointed because people are just panicking and it's just the dominoes falling. And we're just cutting it off, and so we don't get sued. And yeah.
So like look at the schools. If the scenario you're talking about is like people are panicking, the schools would just say we're going to shut down for a week. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying we're going to shut down and we're moving online for the rest of the semester. So they've already
their time horizon. They've seen something.
Right. They know from a state level, because the message would just be, okay, we are going to shut down. And then maybe like 3 days later, we would get some formal announcement that would come out of saying, and now we're doing this. But no, that's not the announcement. So they know more.
Would the word you use is nefarious? Kind of like that. Not that it's malicious, but this is kind of, if it was good news, we'd, It's the fact they don't know, and it's awfully quiet and silent, and it's the silence that is deafening.
It is. Last night, it's unfathomable that we did not have a press conference last night from the White House, right? It's unfathomable after a 2,000 point drop in the Dow, everything else coming out, that there wasn't another press conference, or even if it wasn't President Trump, that it was CDC, FEMA, whatever, something coming out. And no, I mean, it was regular programming as scheduled. So that's where also then this whole timing of 3:00 today. So whatever announcement is coming out is being timed for when the market's closed.
The end of the market, yeah.
So
interesting.
I always know that's
Very
a bad sign from a stockholder. I know whenever, earnings, when they did earnings after the bell, which has been for a long time, but that's obviously because if it goes to hell, then, everybody has to try to push in their sell orders for the next day. So I think it's one of those things so guys, let's face it. If you're doing this announcement at 3, what does that mean? The stock market's not opening on Monday.
Oh,
probably not.
Good point.
The market's not opening on Monday. That's what this means. It probably means your 401ks, 403bs, EdVest, all those types of things will be froze. The only reason to do it at 3 o'clock today would be to freeze the market.
So would they do a bank holiday too then? I mean,
probably bank holiday. Yeah, I'd probably follow.
That's why I ran off.
It would probably tell you can only get so much out of your ATM, so much out of your accounts, so much out of your access of that. But that is, and I mean, I'm
just smiling because he's like,
I'm smiling because I got
it's not going to bother me. It's not going to bother me either.
I got my Bitcoin. I got it all covered.
Bitcoin was down to 4,000 last night.
Yeah, I know. Might get some more. At least you can trade in it.
Yeah. Unless they take over the internet.
Oh, because the dark web doesn't exist. That's anyway. Doc, let me ask you this. No matter whether it's bad news, I mean, will you be assuaged or a little less worried after Trump comes? Trump is making a declaration, right?
Yes, that's normally been announced.
I mean, at least we'll know more, and then it's a known enemy, and we'll have the scope and scale, the size of this problem.
I don't know about that.
Wow.
I think what we would know is yes, the Stafford Act would be invoked. Banks would close and stock market would close. I think we would know that. That there would be a national shutdown, maybe of schools. Maybe it's a national announcement that's coming out today that all schools will shut down.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
So I think we would know those things. As far as like a plan of what's next, no, I don't think we would have anything.
It's going to be a perfect response, right? It's going to be perfect response. That's what he's going to.
Yeah.
It'll be a perfect response. Don't worry. It'll be perfect.
And then it probably starts to come to authorizing your local governments, your state National Guards to start setting up sites and things like that. And again, I'm talking about things which I have no idea what they would look like and what's happening and how bad things are. But these measures don't happen unless, as DTU kind of alluded, there is this massive reboot also that's been in the works to set everything up. And this is just where we're at. We're at the reboot time.
Yeah.
Do you guys
hunker down, everybody.
Yeah.
Hunker down.
Let me ask this, because all this could be very bad, and we could have National Guard, not friendly National Guard, not what you see on the commercials, mean guys like, you cross this line, I shoot you kind of National Guard. Is anybody else kind of happy, not only in the I told you so-ism or the fact that we have prepped and we're ready for this, but I'm looking at this, a rather thicker than average silver lining to this is people are going to be forced to spend time at home with each other. Like one of the greatest things, and even though it's funny and sad, is when they start closing down the schools, all of a sudden parents are like, well, who's going to raise the kids? Well, I don't fucking know. Maybe you. Like, you're going to be forced to, like, hey, now the government is not, you can't rely on the government. You can't rely on the system. Free babysitting is no more. You actually have to go back to the individuals in the family unit, and not only for survival, but hey, maybe we'll watch some television together. Maybe we have dinner together. No, Johnny, you don't have hockey. What are your plans for school or college? What do you think about this? I think there's you want to get people off the internet and off their smartphones. This is, we're almost setting the clock back technologically 30 years, which I'm like, okay, yeah, there's some problems. Right. It's bad, but gosh, the humans are going up in price in terms of stock, and I'm not thinking it's a terribly bad thing.
I mean, who knows? I mean, I was thinking last night, I mean, I really appreciate, the bike rides I took last summer and things like that. And what I would appreciate if things got simpler, if somehow out of this process, a lot of things got simplified. I think there could be a point, when life is much more enjoyed and lived. So I have started to think through that, and I have kids, and DTU do too. So I had a discussion last night with them of here's your schools shut down, like we know that. And we just had our Disney trip taken away, and some of the other things that we're going to start doing, and maybe not doing, and letting it kind of soak in with them, because it's hard for them to conceptualize what is happening. So yeah, and of course, just with me and the stuff, I look at this, and a couple of people said to me, if you don't know this, like, how many people really do know? Not that I know everything, but I do know a lot, right? I'm very connected in this.
You're the authority. Yeah, that's the way you have it. You're basically our only authority on anything. I think you're the only doctorate that runs around with our group here. You're very charitable, like Jesus that way.
But I'm, and where I'm at, I'm thinking, so I'm up in maybe the 1%, right? Of just understanding, knowing this, connections and that. And I'm like, this isn't making sense for me. And now, I mean, that's extremely disturbing. I'm not trying to be alarmist, but again, when I did my first live stream, I'm just trying to get a heads up for parents of, like, everything's going to shut down. Your kids will be home. Other things are going to happen. So, you're going to have to prepare for this. And it's like happening now. Like this
happened really quick. I mean, this has been very, very fast. I just had my tooth crowned last week, and it feels like it's been a month since I had my tooth crowned. So I mean,
me too.
The last week or two has been very. It's just like you wake up and you go. There was a meme that came out that showed Captain Picard, and it was like, how I wake up every morning. Damage report. It just kind of. So I don't know. I think I'm planning on, when my kids are staying home, watching the Stand miniseries with my kids. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Here's how bad it could get, kiddos.
Yeah.
Well, Doc, let me. I got two more questions here for you, and then we'll get to the super chats. If you guys got a split, go ahead and feel free. But what do you want to tell everyone listening? I mean, what should they do? Anything? Right. I mean, I know not panic, but anything that hasn't been told to them already.
Well, obviously, I mean, your locus of control is with you and your gut feeling, and you got to trust your gut feeling in times like this. So we haven't had a demonstration of clear communication on any level of government or companies on this. So you got to trust your gut feeling and do what's right for you. I would strongly advise people to limit their travel, and not limit their travel necessarily because they might be exposed to something. Limit their travel because you might not be able to get back to your community. And that's a narrative I've never said before, but that is, so, I mean, if you have parents, I mean, people who are in the age bracket of older than 60, checking that they have people around them that are connected, any supplies that they have. And so those are the things. And I think just to anticipate, it's kind of like the Joker when what was it? The Dark Knight Rises. When people anticipate chaos, they function a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And I would anticipate, like, once this presser comes out and everything, people are just going to be, you're going to see people in states you've never seen them before, and just project yourself out. In a week from now, things are going to make more sense. 2 weeks from now, things are going to make more sense. I think the pinnacle is today.
Pinnacle confusion is now.
The pinnacle of confusion and people and you might have relatives calling you and crying and things like that. And that's just natural emotion to chaos. I mean, that would happen if that tornado hit, Memphis or whatever that was. So it's getting out of chaos. It's chaos. There's no self-similarity. We will hit a point of self-similarity. So keep your wits about you. Keep your wits about you. And don't be brought into that. This isn't the end of the world. I don't have that feel at all. I do not.
Like I said, there better be bodies in that street, and if there's not, the reputation of the authorities is going to be ruined forever.
It'll destroy the social contract with, like, FEMA and things like that. I mean, you'll see, and you've already seen it, Cajun Navy Relief doing a large part of the getting resources in after hurricanes, and the Bahamas relief was done a lot by, like, Texas Navy, and you'll see a lot of those organic things. So this also could be a last stand for social contract in the U.S., where that you look to the government to support you in times of crisis. Remember, on 9/11, most people were rescued from Battery Park, 500,000 people in 9 hours. Most of those people were in their 40s. When they grew up, we had the Soviet Union as an enemy and the Eastern Bloc. So they all thought there could be a war. Like when we grew up, it was the movie The Day After, which was about nuclear war. Rocky IV, which was Red Dawn. Sting, I hope the Russians love their children too, right? So, hey, someone just made like a $400.
No, that's a yen. That's one of that funny money. They don't care. Their currency's been devalued a long time ago.
Right. In Venezuelan, we had a $5 billion contribution. So that's the thing that is going to happen. This is not going to be sensical. And of course, people watch the news, and the news people have no idea because they're just talking heads, right? Especially local news are used to covering the sporting event.
Are you saying the hot weather chick is not the political mastermind?
As much as
she's cute though, got some nice cans on her, Doc. Right. You should see the local one. She's a good-looking gal.
So I think you're going to see that real strain, people trying to rationalize and process this. But again, we will get through it. I don't have this feeling of impending doom of everything's over, but I do have this feeling of this will be completely unprecedented, and things are going to not temporarily change. We will go to a new dimension and then forward our lives from there. We will not reset to whatever was a month ago. So I just like you, I guess I'm waiting for the announcement. I'm waiting to see how things unfold.
Keep cool. Don't lose your head.
Yeah. Keep cool. Don't lose your head. It's not the end of the world. But it is, definitely.
Maybe go buy some shit now while everybody's at work before Trump speaks.
Go fill up the car. Go fill up your car.
Yeah. $1.74 I did with my truck. Woohoo!
So now I just want to get the timeline just straight. Trump is addressing at 3 Eastern time.
Yeah, I'll be at the DMV.
Is that what it is, Darren? Because is that
what it is? Is it right after the markets close, or because markets close at 4, right?
East Coast. Yeah, that'd be 3:00 Central, 2:00 your time.
Right.
Yeah. I believe it's at the close of the market.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, before I get to my second question, I'm going to make 2 points here. One, definitely call your buddies and friends, because I've tried that and no one's around, so I'm gonna have to try it again. Say, hey, I got a buddy Mike, I got another buddy Lloyd, and I'm kind of like, hey guys, what's going on? And you know what pisses me off? These are old guys my age. They have their mailboxes full because they don't check. I'm like, oh, you're not girls. You're not teenage girls. Just pick up your damn phone. So there's that one. And then Doc, are you saying the next week there's a good chance I might end up becoming a warlord in my local?
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you definitely could. I mean, I would think, people are going to start talking to their neighbors and even just trying to talk through, with the information that comes out. But yeah.
Okay.
I think you've got that.
I should practice my command, bring me your daughters. I should say, should I be bring me, like, kind of, if it's a given, bring me your daughters. So should I say, bring me your daughters? I'll work on that down the road for my tribal warrior thing here.
Well, I've already told Mrs. DT that if it's bad news, the Katie bars will be installed on the brand new doors and our nice, Taj Mahal DT's compound 2.0. The Katie bars will be installed.
Now, related to that, gentlemen, I feel sad. I feel inferior to you two, because I have moved to an apartment and DT has a new house with 2 fireplaces. You still have your old place, Doc. I feel like the United Kingdom in the nuclear weapons race between the United States and the Soviet Union. Like, I am a Margaret Thatcher and you are Gorbachev and you are Reagan. How is the wood wars that I cannot participate in? Are you guys got, how many cords are we at each?
I guess I have about 1.5 cords left.
That's it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, DT, what do you got?
I maybe have 2 cords, but I just did some tree trimming the last 2 days, and I probably have more wood from the tree trimming than you have right now. So
if I knew you guys were in that close of a race, I could just go cut some darn wood for no reason and say, I got 1 cord of wood.
I'm not in Minnesota anymore, so it's like
I know, but you still got
need as much. You just don't need as much here.
Well,
cold nights, you're fine.
Yeah, I don't be surprised, DT, if you see me show up at your house.
I'll be surprised. What the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing here? Twin Cities. All right. Do either of you have to go? You guys got time for super chats?
I got times.
I've got time. Yeah.
Okay, let's go through here. Nonstop Dre for $2. How do I know you're working if I can't see you? That is going to end, I think. That's another positive thing. I think we're going to find out that we don't need to commute. We don't need to go to school physically. And Western Governors University should be like borrowing money and making commercials like mad today. Cynic in Chief for $2. Boomer remover virus will give cheap McMansions. I don't think the boomers aren't going to die. They're not.
Could you imagine if like 20%, 10% of them got?
It would have a huge effect on the
now.
market. Yeah, but no one wants to buy the McMansions anyway.
No.
Those McMansions are going down in price because nobody wants them and can't afford them.
Their unfunded liabilities would look better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Troy Kostelecki for $2. I'll have to watch this after work. Here's $2. Oh. He always does that. Him and another guy, like, I gotta work. Here's $2. Charles Mack for $5.91. Oh, I am almost guaranteed to get this damn coronavirus given where I work. More at 11. This is going to be fun, gang. Good afternoon, Cap and Doc. So there you go, Doc.
I'll say hi too.
Thanks, Chuck.
This is before I showed up.
I think Charlie works in IT. I don't know how he's got to worry about it. Sam Whiskey for,
He works IT, but in a medical sector.
Oh, he's fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Sam Whiskey for $4.99. After the fall of the Soviet Union, a lot of bureaucrats in Moscow were drinking themselves to death while the wives were shopping in Western Europe. Show women's loyalties. And then I want to see.
I got plenty of whiskey stored up, so I'm good.
Good. I want to find this $400 yuan or real. What's the currency?
Rahul Chatterjee.
Is that Indian rupees?
Yeah, so we've had him. We've had him test.
No, Indian rupees is the Indian currency.
Yeah. We've had him test how much the color coded levels.
Rupees to US dollar. 1.4 cents.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
like $40 or something.
Hey, no, not even.
No,
hang on.
$4. It's $4.
14 times 400. This is great. $5.60. Yeah. That's not bad. That's not bad.
But it's not. It doesn't deserve the orange though. The orange red alert.
Google hasn't programmed it yet. Young Sykes for $5. Damn it, man! By the way, you guys are talking. I'm screwed. I'm an over-the-road truck driver, and I can't get to my gun safe or the bank. I'll get home and get that.
Well, you got a crowbar, right? I mean, it's
this is why you should be a minimalist too. But nobody listens.
No one listens to us. Yeah.
$5. Coronachan cut the Bitcoin price in half. Are you holding? Yeah, because it's a royal pain in the ass to log into the currency exchange or the Bitcoin exchange. Trade in it. It is a horrific. Any of you guys buy cryptocurrency or? It's a pain in the ass.
You know the answer to that from me.
I don't know. Maybe you would have bought some.
I jumped in here.
I think everybody should own a little bit of cryptocurrency. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And it's great that it dropped in half. This is great. Prices are dropping. A third silver lining to this cloud is prices are dropping. Yeah. It's great. This is great.
Right.
Doc could finally buy his place in South Dakota next to us for pennies on the dollars. Rahul Chatterjee for 400 rupees, I believe. Question for Doc. Is this a case of a bioweapon that spilled out of China? The government response here in India seems to suggest that flow of information is being deliberately controlled to avert mass panic.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I'll give my opinion on that. So one is a bioweapon. I would say my perception, and I'm not saying anybody has told me this, but I believe this is bioengineered and possibly, like what we had bees that became Africanized bees from an experiment and then they got loose. So I'm not saying this was intentionally released, but I do believe that
it's synthetic.
It's synthetic, and kind of because of the way that the DNA and RNA strands seem to replicate parts of like AIDS, and how with kids, it's not it infects kids. They don't show symptoms, but maybe they can show symptoms later, like if they have chicken pox, and later you can get shingles. So
they become a civil engineer.
It has a weird profile from DNA, RNA, from what I know, and some people that I've talked to on that. So with that regard, is information being controlled to avert mass back? Yeah, we've seen that, right? That's, if we look at everything that's been done, that is completely the narrative right now, is just give out little pieces, or if your hand is forced to give out some information. And again, I mean, I would tell people, if you go and you start even listening to what music is played on the radio, and you start listening to other things, during the Cold War, there were certain things if there would be heightened tensions, that there were certain radio songs that would be put on. There were certain movies. One was The Sound of Music. This is actually proven. Like, you can read all about this. There was this whole sequence of things that would go on to calm the public and improve morale in the media. And some of these things, if you really listen now, I'm starting to wonder, is this a step in that? And again, for me to say this is like crazy. I would never say this, but we do know that these things happened in the past. These things were in place. And, why isn't this? I mean, if this is indeed, we're shutting everything down in these universities, we're only covering this in little bits and pieces on the media, and the rest of it is talk shows and the Ellen show and, the other. I mean, this seems it seems like programming that if you hit this level, you press it and it automates. That's what's happened right now with some of this stuff. And it buys you time. And I believe we've hit this automation to buy time, because people can't process. And come on, let's look at it. After 9/11, Dan Rather was on nonstop. I mean, and seeing everything breaking from 9/11, and we don't have that now. This is a different approach of very restricted communication out of Wuhan, locking 11 million people down. So in an age when you can Periscope, in an age when we have access to instant communication like we've never had before. Last night, when Pennsylvania went into lockdown, in the top 5 trending on Twitter wasn't Wuhan virus, wasn't coronavirus, wasn't Pennsylvania.
Tom Hanks.
It was Tom Hanks, a couple pop stars, and it was Disney as like number 4. Oh. And I got a hold of a couple tech people who track this, and they ran some bots in the background, and they said there were certain things that the bots weren't kicking back. So there was some controlling that was already happening last night, because we know that. I'm
just like, if I see The Sound of Music is being played later on tonight, I better go get a lot more ammo.
The Sound of Music on TV tonight, it would be
they canceled Die Hard, and with Sound of Music, like, oh shit, I better John McClane up. Oh,
yeah.
So I did check before I made my Stand miniseries joke just to see when the Stand miniseries remake is coming out, and it's not scheduled yet. So it would be really funny if CBS All Access, Stephen King's The Stand. 99.9% of people die of the super flu.
Nonstop Dre for $2. I'm kind of curious if they cancel classes out there in New York, Dre, for you. But they say, and studies suggest sky is falling. Yes, they say. The women in my life always cite they say. I've told you about that. I want to buy theysay.com, but I'm too lazy to do it.
And again, I'll go in this and say, when I present, you guys know this, I've done 120 shows, I've written a book. My book has everything cited. Like, I have 11 experts that went through my book before I got it out. Every podcast I do, I'm citing everything. So this is when I feel, because of my credentials, because of what I've built up over. Yeah, thanks. I mean, go buy the book, because no one else.
You got nothing to do. We're going to go through a lot of books today. You're going to get to read a lot of books from Amazon.
So I'm very science-based, right? But there gets to be a point when, because of, I think, the emergency situation that we're in, I'm going to make a few statements based upon my collective, professional expertise, and also the fact that I was a school administrator for the bulk of my 20-year career in education. So I know that side, and I completely know that is just fumbling out and not making any sense. So So yeah, I the whole thing, yeah, they say and studies suggest you're right on nonstop Dre. And the thing is, it's not matching what is actually happening right now. I mean, because if they say you could get infected, well, the NBA would still play, but they would load up on sanitizers at the arena and they would do things and all of this they say. And I mean, we talked about it earlier. Is it the legal? Is it the attorneys who are telling them don't do this because you could be sued? That seems like a stretch for me, because again, I don't see that. It's an act of
God. Yeah.
I don't see that hypervigilance in schools that I work with that could prevent like active shooter or intruders. I don't see that. And if you have something that's a force majeure event, you're kind of not held liable anyway. It's like, again, if a meteor hit the earth or there's a solar flare outage or some shit like that. But so yeah, it is the say and studies, but we'll probably hear a lot of that. They'll, I think it's absolutely insane that we're still hearing people say, just wash your hands. This morning on the Today Show, this lady's taking Lysol wipes. This is how to wipe down your microwave door, and people make sure that you get the inside. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, people don't even have access to this. This isn't about Lysol wipes, and this is just the person they have on, in all of her nice dress, and she's going around doing these things, which are just insane. And here's how to disinfect your phone. You do a little mixture of bleach and 1 gallon bleach to fucking one. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right?
So what you're saying about the communication thing, and we've got unlimited communication. We're communicating right now. What you're saying is that we're way outweighed by speculative communication as opposed to official communication. We're all just speculating because we don't have the official kind of coordinated response to get everybody on the same page, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it make sense even if there was COVID-19.gov that was in your official clearing? Because after a disaster, so 2012, it was a tornado that hit,
St. Joseph, Missouri, or Joplin, Missouri?
Joplin, Missouri. They came up with Joplin, Missouri, tornado.us or something. Like within an hour, a couple of the employees, it was a mom and her daughter. She worked for the city. And then it's still up today. They still use it as an example. But, right? Like, wouldn't that be the thing? But no, it's like, go to CDC, go to Johns Hopkins, go to whatever. I mean, we know that, right? This is bigger than that. When your kid's school is shutting down, when all these things are happening around you, that's unprecedented, the market dies, there should be one site. It's covid.gov, and it's worked full time, and all this information is there. A central clearinghouse. That's what the government always talks about. A central clearinghouse. We just had one come out for school safety, another one. Well, we don't have that. So that's another part of this that is just common sense in emergency management of this scale, of this magnitude, when the economy has died of stores being ripped bare, of all these other things that are unprecedented. We don't have that. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, this piece is gone. I don't have this puzzle piece, and it doesn't make sense to me. And of course, so guys, like, right, this doesn't make sense. Check out.
So then we speculate, and that makes things worse if we're speculating wrong. If we're coming with the wrong ideas, then that makes things worse.
You just gave me a fourth silver lining to the corona, the great and forever giving Coronachan. I'm thinking, like, all these teachers who can't get their act together because for whatever reasons the internet is hard. What if I were to set up coronahighschool.org and I teach every class, and kids are bored and they want to learn about economics. I can have math teachers come in and I make a lot of money.
All they do is teach to the national tests now. Anyway, you get the national tests, you prepare them for the national tests. They're good to go.
Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Not to keep cheering on Coronachan. I see a lot of fringe benefits, especially for my domain. What are people going to do except go on the internet and like watch the internet show?
Right.
I'm hoping people play Monopoly, or they spend a little bit of time and have dinner and rediscover their family. But I don't know. Just come to Corona High. Hey, how you doing? I'm your principal and teacher, Aaron Cleary, and I'll take all your money.
You should look up the domain names to see how many are taken already.
Oh no, I just do it for this
every
channel.
Version of Corona.
We just do Corona
COVID-19.
High. You know what I could offer? I could offer classroom rings, and you could get a Letterman's jacket, Corona High, and All right, Charlie's back. $6. Not only do I work IT at a major hospital, my group is considered essential mission critical staff, and I'm on call for the next 2 weeks. Jackpot. I hope you're getting some OT there, Charlie. That'd be great if you got some OT.
Hazard pay.
Yeah. And Nonstop Dre, $362 again. 4-year colleges near me in California went online. Oh, I thought he was in New York. Why did I think Dre was in New York? Oh, well, that was it. All right. That's all we got then, gentlemen, because I got to get to the DMV because that's what I want to do.
There's going to be a rush to the DMV.
Well, no, come on. I'm smart, man. I'm a contrarian. I got to get to the DMV. Hey, now Rahul comes in with his 400 rupees again. Oh, he's giving you a thanks, Doug. He says, thank you, Doug, for the clarification. I guess hand sanitizers are useless. Here's some more funny money for Cappy and friends. It's
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say hand sanitizers are useless, but I mean, this whole thing of thinking, if this genuinely could be airborne for 20 minutes after somebody coughs or something like that. Well, then
I think they said 3 hours.
I mean, come on.
Or and hand sanitizers are useless, right?
Think of Amazon. Every Amazon packages comes in every post office. I mean, it would be everywhere. It would be so ubiquitous. Again, that's why maybe information isn't coming out, because if you had to say every post office, you'd have to shut everything down. There has to be this point where you just say, we're going to deal with it. But yeah, I'll tell you, I was at Walmart and they put out a box of hand sanitizers. Just like the lady was unpacking, and I was able to get 4 out of the 6 she put. And then this big swarm of people, are there more? Are there more? And then she's ripping through all the boxes and there weren't any. And so here I have like 4 hand.
Did you sell them afterwards out in the parking lot for $20 a bottle?
I hid them under like a bag of cat litter because I didn't want anybody
give me your Germex.
I couldn't believe she put them out. She put them right in front of me. I was like, I was in the aisle getting toothpaste, and then right over there next to it, where it's this big area where there were nothing for hand cleaners or sanitizers. And she puts it up.
That's why I do my grocery shopping at midnight, and I'm going to go to the DMV on a Friday at 3 p.m. in the midst of I know what I'm doing.
It's a sign from God.
I hate to give DT a compliment because I hate giving any of you guys compliments because it's just not in my DT, I love your idea about purposely going and getting infected with it so you don't have to worry.
Yep.
I'm immune. And there's a piece of me that's just kind of like, but then you could be like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But if everyone's going to get it's a risk. But if everyone's going to get it, I'm thinking like, maybe, we do the chicken pox parties like you used to do when you were a kid. Right. Yeah. Like some bald guy who's got it.
Thing. I mean, who knows if, what's really being thought of and maybe, I mean, is this a fact of they want herd immunity? Is that why part of it has been delayed? And we didn't close immediately. I mean, who knows? And I mean, in retrospect, some of us will never fully know, but there'll be more theories that'll have some basis to them.
You didn't finish that full idea though, Cap. The idea behind getting infected and then recovering is so that then you can go out and run errands for boomers for an exorbitant fee.
Yes, you had a financial incentive. Yes, yes.
I'll go buy your groceries for you and let them. And so I'll deliver them out into the sun in your driveway. Keep them out in the sun for 30 minutes or something like that. Disinfects everything, and then come collect your groceries.
See, instead of Omega Man, you'd be Corona Man.
Yeah, exactly. Corona
Charlton Heston. You could just run around. You get to have sex with the big boob black chick with the fro. You guys remember her?
There's 3 versions of that story. It's Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price is that story. And then Charlton Heston, Omega Man. And then it was I Am Omega with Will Smith. Those are the 3
I would just want the one with the big cans.
Okay. And actually, that was the inspiration for Night of the Living Dead as well. He went to the Richard Matheson I Am Omega, and that's what I Am Omega inspired the entire zombie franchise. So,
and what would we be without that?
Hey, we wouldn't be prepared. We wouldn't be prepared. You prepare for the zombie apocalypse. You're prepared for everything.
Don't prepare for the zombie. All right, gentlemen, let's plug our stuff. Let's start with UTT because unlike me and Doc, you are not an author. But let's just.
No, I'm not. I am not an author. I pontificate and rant at blackbrigade.org. I've done the last 2 weeks have been about this whole crisis. And I have a feeling that next week's podcast is going to round out the trilogy. So a couple of years ago, I did the Ebola trilogy, and everybody liked that. And this will be the Corona trilogy. So blackbrigade.org. It's called the Black Brigade Debrief with DT. Hope you fall in.
Okay, blackbrigade.org. Your last podcast was good. I listened to most of it, and I was like, yeah, I did. I like your stuff. It's just I don't have time to, Doc, what do you got?
Yeah, first, safetyphd.com, and Aaron's got the book up there. You can go on the website, School of Errors, but School of Errors talks a lot about kind of what's happening right now when you get into chaos, when you get into self-similarity, out of that, how to rebound. Great interviews with people from the Cajun Navy, like going in after things have been destroyed with hurricanes and stuff. So it's a good read. And yeah, if you could give me a follow on Twitter at safetyphd. And also, I have a website with 120 podcasts. Just search for the Safety Doc podcast. Give me a follow so I can get a few more followers on there. It's good content, a lot of different guests.
Well, also,
I'm sorry, Doc, I haven't gotten back to you about being on your podcast.
Someday, DT will be.
I'm such an asshole. I'm just.
I'll tell you this.
Do I write back to Doc, or do I have another whiskey? I'll have another whiskey.
We're all going to be living in South Dakota. Look, you two can have your gay love affair by the Minuteman missile silo you guys are all excited about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, could you imagine you could go survive there?
You could.
On your guys' recommendation, I'm like, all right, I'll stop. And I walked in, I'm like, damn it, it's just what I thought it would be. I'm like, no, it's.
It'll probably be like we're closing everything down unless you two guys want to go out and run it. Be like, yeah, I'll be out there.
Run the gift shop. Just to see you kids, like kids at a candy shop at that thing. I would love to see your reaction to going to it again. So I'll go with it when we all retire out there. We'll go, but then we're going back to my place and smoking cigars and looking at the Black Hills.
I would insist on a red button that when you hit it, it goes "Auga, auga." that would be my contribution.
All right, then you got me. You guys all know me, but if you're new to the show, this is the channel. Subscribe. I also run another channel under Aaron Clary. I have a consulting company called AstroConsulting.com, and I have several books. I was the main author in this one, How Not to Become a Millennial, Learning from America's Largest Sociological Disaster. It is very pro-millennial. It's just in a tough, brotherly love way, giving you the severe kicking in the ass the millennials desperately needed. It is written, however, by Vince Barrick. He has gone and made some editing. There's Bachelor Pad Economics. Don't worry, the economy won't be around. There won't be an economy to worry about later on. This book, here's one. Enjoy the Decline, Accepting Living with the Death of the United States. That might be germane. And besides, nobody will have anything else to do during this time. The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty, because I hate black men. Of course, because of course. Curse of the High IQ. That's for everybody tuning in. And then Worthless, the Young Person's Indispensable Guide to Choosing the Right Major. These are all really good books you guys could learn and read, especially you kids who are back from school, so that you could avoid poverty when the economy comes back. And then that's it. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for being on the show. We will contact and connect later after Trump.
Shout out to Atham over there in the chat.
Yeah, good old Atham's in the chat room. Yeah, and there's Athams perfectly happy.
He can always be in a cave, man.
He can go escape to the cave. Yeah,
right. Escape to the cave.
And then there's Athams. He's up out. Nobody likes Cappy. Nobody likes it. All right, we'll see you guys later. Doc, will you take us out correctly?
Yeah, everybody. Hey.
No, not that. Not that.
What?
DT, take us out correctly.
No, you got to let Doc do it.
Let Doc. What do I see at the end of every show?
It rhymes with noodles. It rhymes with noodles.
Watch the show. How do I say goodbye?
No, I do. I do.
That's how you say goodbye.
Don't you say toodles? Like
toodles.
Bam.